That said, I will also permit myself, and I hope you will all forgive me with a remark that might sound, and in fact is, a banality, and that is simply to state that 1989 was a watershed, was a year of fundamental change. It was, and this term has become fashionable immediately after a change of paradigm. But here we touch upon, I think we touch upon something a little bit more deep or interesting, because being a change of paradigm means that you could look at the world, at history, at the situation after '89, no longer referring to the same frame of mind, the same framework of references than before. And that is the fundamental reason I think that this event, or this succession of events, was not in fact greeted at the time, and here I come back to my vivid memories, was not greeted at the time with enthusiasm at all. At least that's not the remembrance I have. It was met, especially by the community of commentators, of politicians, of experts, with a lot of suspicion, with a lot of skepticism. Why? Because it was outside the framework of the narrative, the explanations that we had all got during our studies, during our active life, on how the world works and how the world was supposed to go on working forever. Yet it happened, and it happened unexpectedly. I don't want to bore you with philosophy, but I think that everything that's important happens unexpectedly. The unexpected becomes previsible only with hindsight, and so it was that only the following years it became clear that '89 changed, in fact, everything, and that one should have had been much more enthusiastic about it. And we projected a measure of euphoria, which at the moment things happened was simply not there. You mentioned in your letter that indeed 20 years have gone by, and 20 years, that's a generation. So I feel myself being in an interesting situation, having been a young adult at the time, which means that I do vividly remember the time before, and of course I've lived the time ever since. A number of years I lived even here in Romania. It's already my 4th year, and the first time I came here to Romania was in '93 for a short stage, which was, after all, long enough to meet my wife. And I can say from my own experience that this is not the same country any longer. It's a different country, it's a different continent, it's a different world, all triggered by an unexpected event, which was '89. The 20-year-olds do not have these impressions, because the 20-year-olds have lived with this transition, and the first 10 years, which have been very difficult, especially here in Romania, of course, somewhat pale in their memory. So their memories of this generation is a memory of enormous dynamism. I guess rather like those peoples who have been born in Germany or Austria after the war, and think of normal development, or think of the development of the 50s and 60s in the European West as being normal. Wirtschaftswunder, economic miracles, as being something normal, something to be expected. Yet there is this is not the normal way things go. We all have to face downturns, and as we all know, we are in the midst of one. But saying downturn is saying crisis, and crisis translated means nothing else than rapid and radical change. That's the original meaning of the word, and change might be might open the gates for something more much better and much more hopeful than we've experienced before. So I think that the change towards democracy and market economy, capitalism, if you like, has delivered in this country and in all of our countries, and that includes even the West, the miracles that it actually has promised. Just that it is difficult for the general public to acknowledge this tremendous advance, and therefore we need to be reminded from time to time that history is no one-way street, and economic progress is something to be earned and to be fought for. To come back to my memories, I also, of course, vividly remember the German reunification, and Ambassador Lohkamp rightfully said this was actually the first opening towards the east. That was the first eastward extension that the European family of democracies has experienced. And again, I was flabbergasted at the time with how little euphoria, how little enthusiasm, if you could say, well, let's say how little euphoria this incredible process was met by Europe's and by Germany's population. It was an extremely sober reception. The discussions at the time were all about costs and difficulties, and those difficulties did not fail to materialize. But compare this to what we have seen at times of the great reunification of Romania, for example, or any kind of national reunifications before, one has to say that here again the paradigms, without us understanding, have shifted in a dramatic way. So just to conclude, we have seen 20 years of enormous growth, not only economically but also morally. We are a richer continent, thanks to the work and the optimism and the openness of those people we have accepted in the Union. It is time for us, especially for us Austrians, to be grateful for this contribution from now on, and probably not only from now on, but let's take this crisis as a good opportunity to say the future is now a common European endeavor. I forgot to touch upon it when I intervened, but when I said I came back to a different country, I forgot to say, but the image of that very country hasn't changed a lot. Almost not at all. So this is a very awkward and weird situation. I'm living in a different country, but back home nobody would believe me that story, because the story of Romania has been told, and nobody wants to hear a new story. Just for evidence, in spite of our best efforts at the embassy, because although it's not really our job to do such a thing or to promote such a thing, but in spite of our best efforts, we have not managed so far to bring inside of Romania a single news agency correspondent. We've brought in 12 billion euros of investment from Austrian businesses. but no single media, permanently resident media representative. And that explains a lot about the development we're facing.